Let's have a chat about the January 29th new moon in Aquarius. We'll have a chat about the general energy for this new moon, and then we'll go into each of the zodiac signs, whether sun signs or rising signs, and talk a little bit more specifically about which part of your life this new moon will manifest in. An Aquarius new moon means that we will be in a questioning, curious type of mood. We will not take what people are telling us and just assume that they are facts or that they're truth, but instead we will be likely to challenge the things we're told and maybe even challenge authority. The Aquarius zodiac sign does this because it wants to be free. It wants to be able to do things its own way and set its own path. Therefore, you might also be feeling this need to break free from the approval of others and to stop doing the things that you have found out are just doing because of what others think of you. These will definitely be the types of moods and feelings we'll be feeling during the January 29th new moon. And whenever we see a new moon, we're talking about a fresh new start. We might be feeling inspired and we might be having visions or ideas coming up about doing things in a new way, doing things a little bit differently. And with this Aquarius new moon, visions of freedom, visions of breaking free from the approval of others, visions of doing things differently and doing them our own way. And with a new moon, we might not be able to set these visions into action yet. They might not feel very practical or tangible yet, but still we will have that inspired feeling and we might be thinking a lot more about the symbolism of what it means to be free, what it means to do things out of our own motivation and not with the motivation of others liking us or approving of us. And do bask in that energy, even if it doesn't feel tangible yet, that will, of course, come with time. One very special thing about this new moon is that we also have almost a conjunction in Pisces during the same time. Venus, Neptune, and the North Node are about to be conjunct any day now. And they're definitely close enough to each other that we will be feeling their energy during the new moon. And having these two beautiful planets and the North Node conjunct in a dreamy sign such as Pisces, I especially feel like this inspired new start, these visions are not only aiming for this freedom, are not only aiming for this independence and way of doing things uniquely, but are also deeply motivated from a place of compassion, a place of love, a place of understanding, and a place of seeing things, seeing the broader picture of things, whether in our own life or whether in the lives of others, of those that we impact as well. So there's definitely a very beautiful Piscean energy, almost like we're not just caring about our own independence, but we're also caring about the independence of humanity during this new moon. And that, I think, is something really exciting. Now let's get into all 12 of the zodiac signs. So we can talk more specifically about what area of your life this new moon might manifest. First up, we have Aries rising or Aries sun signs. And for Aries, the new moon on the 29th of January takes place in your 11th house of friendships. You might be getting new visions of how you can be your unapologetic self in your friendships. Maybe you are getting new ideas or feelings of inspiration around new friend groups that you could join or new friends that you could make that are more aligned with you. And because the conjunction with Venus, Neptune, and the North Node is in your 12th house, take a look if there's any inspiration, anything that comes up during your spiritual practice, whether that's meditation, journaling, dancing. Take a look if anything's coming up that can fuel this desire even further. Maybe somebody in your spiritual community or in your meditation class says something that gets you thinking down this path and gets you inspired to dream even bigger of this beautiful, aligned friendship group coming your way. For Taurus risings, the 10th house is the place where this new moon takes place. The 10th house is the house of career, so you might be having any vision about how you can get more freedom in your career. What could your life look like if you were to do something that is uniquely aligned to you and what you want to do, and not motivated by what others think of you or doing something just because others approve of it? Perhaps you have ideas of how to be more independent in your workplace. That's also a possibility. And don't forget that Venus, Neptune, and North Node conjunction is happening in your 11th house. See if perhaps there is something with your friendship groups. Maybe you attend an outing or you talk to a friend and somebody says something that gives you an idea or gets you going down this path of seeking more aligned and more freedom-based careers for yourself. For Gemini risings, this new moon takes place in the 9th house of your belief system, of travel and education. And with an Aquarius new moon there, you might be having visions of a belief system that is uniquely aligned to you. A belief system that is not based on what you think others will approve of you, whether a certain political party or a certain lifestyle to live, but one that is really your own. You might be feeling inspired to think about what could complete and utter freedom in regards to your beliefs mean. What could it look like? You might also be seeking more independent travel at this time, or maybe even being quite questioning and challenging when it comes to the classes you're taking. Perhaps not being afraid to challenge the authority in these classes a little bit more than usual. We have that Venus, Neptune, and North Node conjunction in your 10th house of career. So there might be certain things happening in your career at this time that are fueling this inspiration, that are fueling this need for doing things your own way when it comes to your beliefs. For Cancer risings or Cancer sun signs, the new moon takes place in your 8th house. You might be getting a new vision or inspired new ideas on how to make your intimate and vulnerable life uniquely yours. How you can show up unapologetically yourself in your intimate life, or when you are vulnerable with those close to you, to whom you trust. It's a bit of a dichotomy because Aquarius can be quite of an independent sign, and the 8th house is a relational house. But in general, you might be thinking about, are there ways that, or relationships that I am keeping pace with that are actually not really allowing me to be truly myself, but maybe relationships I have in my life because others might approve of them, for example. Are there things that I'm holding back, sides of myself I'm holding back to showing to people I trust because I'm afraid of what they will think of me? The Neptune, Venus, and North Node conjunction is taking place in your 9th house. So there might be some beautiful inspirations, some beautiful imagination, ideas coming from any classes you're taking, any travel that you're doing, that could especially start to fuel this new vision of being uniquely yourself, especially when it comes to your intimate relationships. For Leo risings and Leo sun signs, the North Node on January 29th takes place in your 7th house. With this new moon, you are dreaming up and getting inspired when it comes to your relationship. This could mean that you're questioning your partner a little bit more, or questioning whether the relationships you're in allow you to truly express yourself and be yourself. But you might also be imagining what a relationship would look like, a relationship where you could be free. What could it mean to be your own unique, independent person, but still be in a relationship with somebody? These might be thoughts and ideas that you have on top of your mind during the new moon. And because of that Venus-Neptune North Node conjunction in your 8th house, there might be certain beautiful, inspiring talks, feelings that are being expressed with your partner in a vulnerable, intimate setting that could fuel these visions and these ideas. Perhaps you have a discussion with your partner, very vulnerable discussion about where are we going? Do you want children? What do you think happens when we die? And as a result of how those conversations develop, you're also inspired to think a little bit further about freedom and independence within your relationship. For Virgo risings and Virgo sun signs, the 6th house is the place where the new moon will occur for you. This is the house of your routine, could be health, diet, fitness. And with an Aquarius new moon in your 6th house, you might be especially thinking about whether your routine is uniquely your own. You might be questioning the routine that you've picked up and thinking about whether it is something that is for you. And you might also, in general, be thinking a lot more about freedom and perhaps how you can incorporate freedom into your daily routine as well. It's quite conceptual to think about, I know. Because of that Venus, Neptune, and North Node conjunction in your 7th house, this does mean that perhaps your partner is inspiring you during this time around your daily routine. Perhaps they say something or do something that you look at and you think, this is serving as fuel to my fire when I think about my daily routine. For Libra risings, your 5th house will be the place of this new moon on January 29th. You could be getting visions of incorporating more freedom, especially when it comes to your creativity, your self-expression, your dating, your hobbies. This could, of course, manifest many ways, but perhaps you are challenging what the authorities are saying on dating or on hobbies. You are instead wanting to do things your own way. Perhaps you are looking at your hobbies, looking at what you consider to be your creative practice, and asking yourself whether you're doing certain things just for the approval of others or whether they're truly uniquely your own ideas or something that you want to do and follow. And because that Venus, Neptune, North Node conjunction is in your 6th house, there could be something happening in your daily routine that inspires this visionary thinking. Maybe all of a sudden your daily routine changes and you have an extra hour in your morning on a random day. And with that hour, you maybe end up picking up a creative practice again. Maybe you end up being bored and start to think about these topics of how you spend your time, what you derive your pleasure and enjoyment from. For Scorpio risings and Scorpio sun signs, a new moon on January 29th takes place in your 4th house of your family. You might be thinking about getting more freedom, getting more distance from your family. And you might also be thinking about how can you do things differently in that area of your life to encourage you or to allow yourself to express yourself more freely, to allow yourself to uniquely be yourself around your family or at your home, to drop away the things you're doing that are just because others approve of them, and to really imagine a vision of what that would look like. What would it look like if you were to be able to be unapologetically yourself around your family? We have the Venus-Neptune North Node conjunction in your 5th house. So definitely use this beautiful fuel, this beautiful energy from any friends you're hanging out with, any hobbies you're doing, all of these things that bring you pleasure and joy. Let that fuel you and serve as an energizer for this quest of freedom and independence that you have ahead of you. For Sagittarius risings and Sagittarius sun signs, the new moon takes place in your 3rd house on January 29th. This is the house of communication, and you might be challenging authority of the sources where you get your information from. You might all of a sudden be looking at maybe certain social media apps or newspapers or websites where you get your information from and starting to question them. Or if you are somebody that maybe communicates quite a lot in your work or in your day-to-day life, you might also especially be thinking of how you're speaking and whether you are, whether speaking, teaching, writing, whether you're doing those things in a way that's uniquely yours. How you can add a little bit more of your own flair when you teach or write or speak. And because the Venus, Neptune, and North Node conjunction is in your 4th house, there might be some beautiful inner work that you're doing that is inspiring this reflection on your communication. Perhaps the alone time you're spending in your home is serving as a beautiful spark of the fire. Or maybe even the time that you're spending with your family that feels quite nurturing, that feels quite loving and welcoming, is helping you in just even starting to dream about this new vision of tailoring your communication to a level where it's uniquely your own. For Capricorn risings and Capricorn sun signs, the new moon takes place in your 2nd house. You might be dreaming on January 29th about taking care of your finances in a way that you want to, not in a way that others approve of you. Being able to set up your own sort of financial setup, your own financial system that is uniquely your own. You might be challenging authorities on finances during this time, really questioning the tools or the methods that they prescribe. And you might even think about doing things differently from the way these authorities are recommending. Because this is a new moon, we're talking about quite visionary thinking, inspiration. You might also be thinking about this grand vision of what financial freedom means to you. Definitely a good one to think about. And don't forget, we have that Venus, Neptune, and North Node conjunction in your 3rd house. So there might be some information coming from any news source that you follow, like newspapers or social media, maybe websites, that serves as a spark on the fire to get that financial freedom vision going. For Aquarius risings and Aquarius sun signs, the new moon takes place in your 1st house. Congratulations, Aquarius. So with this new moon, you will be thinking about how you can be unapologetically yourself. how you can show up in the world and drop all of the things that you're doing, all of the things you're saying, all of the things you're wearing, the way you do your hair, that you're only doing just for the approval of others. This might be quite an impactful new moon for you, Aquarius, because it is in your first house. And in general, you might feel a lot more like questioning authorities in all areas of your life, and really thinking and challenging what others are telling you on how you should do things. Because you have that Venus-Neptune North Node conjunction in your second house, there might be some sort of beautiful feelings of self-confidence, feelings of empowerment due to your finances, the way you're handling your finances. Use that beautiful compassion, love, almost like spiritual transcendence to help fuel this greater vision of you being uniquely yourself. And finally, we get to Pisces rising and Pisces sun signs. And for Pisces, the new moon takes place in the 12th house. You might be feeling especially visionary when it comes to your spiritual routine. You might be questioning authorities, spiritual authorities that tell you that spirituality can only look a certain way, or you're only spiritual if you meditate, for example. You might be thinking of, can you drop away anything from your spiritual routine that is not uniquely aligned to you? Things that you are doing just to get the approval of others, or just because it was recommended by somebody. And in general, with a new moon, we're talking about inspired thinking or vision. And your vision during this new moon might be a vision of spiritual freedom. Definitely a big one to think about. And I will add one more thing, Pisces. You have a beautiful, beautiful conjunction that's about to take place in your first house with Venus, Neptune, and the North Node. So really do harness this energy that's helping you towards the end of January, beginning of February. You might be feeling especially inspired in your leadership positions whenever you are allowed to sort of stand out in the group and lead, and use this maybe more charismatic energy that you might be having during this time to inspire you, to give you the confidence you need to take on this quest of spiritual freedom. So that is everything for the new moon in Aquarius on January 29th. I hope you all have a wonderful new moon. Let me know down in the comments below if you're excited for this one, or maybe not so much. And don't forget, I also post new moon and full moon meditations for every new moon and full moon. I'll link the one for this new moon in Aquarius right here for you. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon.